All right, so time to head back to Southern California. And this trip is going to be a little bit longer. It's 12:31 right now, and I decided I wanted to take a scenic route. I'm going to take a route back that I've never driven before. Never driven it in the Bolt EV, and you know, if you can see on the display right now, I have 208 miles of estimated range. Well, the problem is my destination is about 208 miles away. And again, along a route that I've never driven before. So I'm going to see how this goes. But hopefully it's a very nice route. Hopefully the chargers are intact when I get there. And it's very scenic. We'll see. But yeah, so this should be an interesting drive. And since I've never driven it before, well, I don't know what to expect. And when I say never driven it before, I've only driven half of it in a different vehicle 20 years ago. The other half, I've never finished the route. So this will be, you know, virgin territory for me and for the Bolt EV. I'm also driving relatively slow, and you know, that's not necessarily to conserve energy, though it is wise when you take a route like this that you've never taken before. That's sort of the plan right now, is to just enjoy the drive. I don't get to do this portion of the drive as often as I would want. Now, part of the issue with living in the middle of nowhere is there's relatively poor cell phone and data signal, and so I ended up having to turn on my car's Wi-Fi. So I loaded in my destination, and of course it's showing me an alternative route, probably because it's faster, possibly shorter even. Basically what I end up doing with Google Maps is keep driving the way I want to drive until it eventually relents and shows me the route that I want to take. As we approach up here, this intersection, this is where they're telling me they want me to go, you know, their preferred route. Well, the problem is their preferred route sucks. Covelo, 60 miles. Well, at least I feel like I can get to Covelo. You know, people can say what they want about pine forests, but oak woodlands, especially this time of year when everything is starting to get green again, well, not the grass obviously, but the trees, they're beautiful. They're really beautiful. You know, the other thing is I don't know what the summit elevation is here. I have no clue. Like, it could easily be about 5,000 feet. So we've officially made it into the national forest. There's a place up here as well that I used to go trout fishing when I was very, very young, but I haven't driven it in a long, long time. And that's about the farthest up I've gone. I see a lot, and I'm probably going to do a plug side chat about this. I need a car that can do 600 miles in a sitting, and when I stop to refuel, it's 5 minutes of filling up the tank and I'm on my way again. I think that the vocal super minority, I think they've lost sight of why we drive, right? You think about why America in particular became a car culture. Think about Route 66. Think about these trails that go up into the mountains. The sort of iconic Yellowstone road trip. We don't drive, or traditionally we never drove to be setting cannonball run records. We never drove to see how fast we could go coast to coast. That was more of a novelty. That was, you know, left to those extreme, gearheads who just wanted to prove that they could, and that was it. But for the most part, people just wanted to drive because of the freedom of it. And nothing is more freeing than being able to drive a vehicle where you can actually create the fuel for it yourself. That we as a country can create the fuel domestically and not run into shortages. I was a fool for not doing this trip earlier. Oh my. It's so quiet. I mean, Northern California anyway, you could pretty much just leave your vehicle unlocked and nobody's going to bother it, but some nice pine trees. And like I said, that's a great thing about Mendocino National Forest is you really only pay for the things that you actually use. If you wanted to come here and just have a barbecue and a picnic with the family, no reason you couldn't. Rattlesnake fire. We got a little lizard. Shouldn't say little lizard. Big old lizard sunning himself. Hey dude, what you doing? What you doing, dude? You're a big one, aren't you? Sweet. Alright, well, I can't make this road trip last forever, but it's going to be a long way through the mountains, so I might use the bathroom. Alright, well, there you go. That was a nice, pleasant surprise. For those who are wondering, those markers on the road reflectors, those are for snow plows. Because typically they're going to be plowing several feet of snow, and those markers help guide them when they can't actually see the road. Uh-oh. So I guess I was wrong about this being paved the whole way. We got another 48 miles to get to Covelo. I was really hoping this would be 45-mile-an-hour road the whole way, but it's not. I guess we just have to enjoy the fact that we see stuff that we would never see otherwise. So outside temperature's actually down to about 60 degrees, which is, makes sense. We're up fairly high in elevation, and the clouds have started to block out the sun. So yeah, about a 10-degree temperature change is to be expected, maybe 15-degree temperature change. But we're still going strong. I mean, we're an hour in, and we've only driven 45 miles, so it kind of shows you we have about an hour, or about a 45-mile-an-hour average speed, including a couple of short pit stops. So yeah, definitely not going to set any land speed records, but that wasn't the point. Something else though, as we are driving this really high altitude, or relatively high, I think most people are below about 4,000 feet above sea level. There's a sort of an unspoken or undiscussed advantage that electric vehicles have, and that is that they're really unaffected by altitude. And you can look at that in two ways, right? They're unaffected by elevation change because or less affected by elevation change because they get some of the energy back, right? Just discussing things like regenerative braking. It's almost like a bonus for electric vehicles over internal combustion vehicles. But the other thing is, internal combustion engine vehicles, they require oxygen to run. And as you increase in elevation, it becomes harder and harder to get power out of an internal combustion vehicle because the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere starts to diminish. Just the amount of atmosphere starts to diminish. Part of why they used to run turbochargers on airplane engines is because they had to cram a massive amount of air. They had to pressurize the air and ram it into the engine, otherwise they wouldn't have enough air to operate. And electric motors just don't deal with any of that. Oxygen just doesn't matter. And in fact, there's an actual additional bonus that electric vehicles see is the air pressure is reduced. So yeah, internal combustion vehicles see this as well, but what it is because the atmosphere is thinner, you actually operate at a much higher level of efficiency, because most of your energy losses are actually from overcoming aerodynamic drag. Well, finally, some drop in elevation. Might not be sustained, but hey, you know, getting any amount of energy back is better than not getting that energy back. I should have done the math now that I think about it. They said it was 48 miles, and well, given my current speed, 48 miles is going to take about 2 hours. Well, I guess two hours in the National Forest versus 45 minutes on Interstate 5. Well, much like coming up the mountain isn't constant incline, right? Well, descending the mountain isn't constant decline either. And I think we're over the summit. Now, again, I'm not entirely sure what the highest elevation is that we went over, but I think we've hit a peak elevation, and yeah, we're now at 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and it's only going to increase from here. I really wish there would have been more road signs. Even with a paper map, getting lost up here could be really, really easy to do. The fun thing about this, though, is this is one of a dozen different routes that allow, you know, someone in Northern California to cross over from the Central Valley or up through like the Redding, the center of the state, like where I-5, Interstate 5 runs. There are probably a dozen or maybe more routes that, if you know what you're doing, looks like you could have been hurt a little bit. You can easily cross over. You can easily cross over and get to Highway 101 running along the coast. I have to assume there are multiple other routes to go here, and this sign isn't the most helpful of them. So let's just hope we got this right. It would be really nice, though, if I actually had some sort of a Wi-Fi connection to let me know that, hey, I'm on the right road. We're on the right track. Again, if they even have a day use area. I think maybe they do. Yeah, day use only. So yeah, they do have a day use area. All right, well, that's sort of what I wanted to see. The outhouse. All right, so that was nice. I just wanted to get a quick look at the ponds out there, you know, and just see what they look like. I guess, you know, someone just caught a fish when I was there, so not so bad. Again, I have some childhood memories of this, but it's been years and years and years since I've come by. Looks like there's not a whole lot of people here though, so yeah, it would be a pleasant place to stop and, you know, spend some time. And the good thing is, because you don't need climate control, well, when you're following a dust cloud, you just turn off the air vent. Now, the thing about mud, too, is to keep from getting stuck, just keep moving. Oh, wow, this is kind of cool. We're definitely regenerating now, so yeah, our estimated range is going to go up quite significantly. We have 146 miles to get to Santa Rosa now, and it's saying we'll arrive in 3 hours. That's not so bad. Really depends on how many pit stops I take along the way, but and we could beat that estimate really. But the thing is, we have 101 minimum miles right now, so going 146 is going to require us to recoup quite a bit of that. But we're still at almost 3/4 battery, which is ridiculous. We've done 60 miles through the national forest and the mountains over, my guess is at least 5,000 to 6,000 feet of elevation increase, and we've just barely used like 30% of the battery. So the camera died. Sorry, I was trying to get a little bit of an angle of this valley as I'm driving. Oh my God, it's beautiful. Like, unfortunately, a lot of it's privately owned, so it looks like if you just wanted to hike those meadows, they aren't necessarily available. But just, you know, for reference at this point, we're back to essentially we're back to EPA rated miles. So we haven't even come close to finishing our elevation descent yet, and yeah, we're already at 3.9 miles per kilowatt hour. The fact that we only have 138 miles to go to get to that you know, to get to that charger. Now, also note though, this is the first DC fast charger along this route. Everything else is level 2, and as we're about to close out, 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour, more minimum estimated miles than the miles it takes to get to the charger. So that charger, even though it's the first stop, it will be an option along the way. All right, and as we make it through this beautiful valley, we're supposed to take a left onto 162 west. Okay, going west. This is more of a south? I don't know. But I'm not gonna argue. I'm just gonna go. At this point, I'm not gonna be able to find my way. So, Covelo Ranger Station, sweet. I'm hoping at least I can get some elevation bearing, a town marker, something, because I'd really like to know what the various elevation changes have been. Now I have another 30 miles basically before I get onto Highway 101. Are you guys getting this? This is the most ridiculously scenic drive I've been on in a very long time. And I mean, we're maintaining that high level of efficiency. We're probably going to arrive in Santa Rosa with a very decent battery charge remaining. So, I mean, I know I have 90 miles of driving on Highway 101, but I can't imagine that it's going to be that inefficient. We just passed a sign that basically said, Eureka 130 miles. Our minimum right now is over 154 miles. So that's not necessarily a trip I would make very often, but it's important to note because there aren't really any DC fast chargers between my home in Northern California and Eureka. However, well, I guess that's technically not true. However, there aren't any this route, but apparently I can make it anyway, even without charging. So I would be pulling into Eureka with close to a dead battery, probably 20-30 miles of range left. So as long as wherever I was staying in Eureka had level 2 charging, it wouldn't matter. We're about to get on to Highway 101, which, you know, that'll be a very interesting switch. In case you were wondering, yeah, we're going this direction. We're up to 5.1 miles per kilowatt hour. No need to drive slow anymore. There's a Tesla Model S ahead of us, so we're not that far away from charging infrastructure. Alright, so there definitely does seem to be a wind still, coming from a little bit different direction than it was. I think it's a west wind, so if I'm going due south, it's going to be sort of a crossing wind, which will be a little annoying. I feel like I have so much of an excess, though, in terms of my battery at this point, that it's not really going to affect my ability to make it to Santa Rosa. I'm going to have been driving for about 4 hours with little gain on what my normal commute time would be, because really I could make it to Santa Rosa from my starting point in about an hour and a half. I just need to keep that in mind in terms of what my expectations are for when I make it back. We're making decent time. Like I said, we shaved a bunch of time off the original estimated time of arrival at the charger. But one caveat going into this is I hate charging electric vehicles anywhere really close to the San Francisco Bay Area. And the reason for that is there's such a high density of electric vehicles that populate that area, and a lot of them have the no charge to charge, so it just makes sense for them financially to drive their electric vehicle over to a charger, DC fast charger locally, and charge up even when they have an outlet at home and they don't need to, because basically they're free to. Okay, so we're about 15 minutes out. Looks like about 14 minutes till our turn off. I mean, the truth of the matter is, it's also pretty much close to time for a bathroom break. The thing that I'm considering too is, being this far north, right? We're sort of the northern edge of Santa Rosa. It might not be as crowded, right? So my theory on these chargers that are free to short-range electric vehicle owners is that, you know, most of the time those owners aren't really using their vehicles to travel. So the farther out of the center of town that you get, the better your likelihood. Now there are no guarantees. I mean, it just could be taken up no matter what. It doesn't really matter where you are. And when you only have a couple of chargers per location, that likelihood increases significantly. But still, just without any other knowledge, it makes the most sense that, you know, these are the most likely to be free. We're here at our exit. I've never been here before, so this is one of those things, again, that I mentioned on driving for fastest trip speeds, is sort of knowing where everything is. Well, I don't know where this is, so I probably should have done a little bit more investigation on PlugShare. Alright, well, that was a long trip from nowhere. 5 hours to go 207 miles. Oof. Alright. Let's see. I'm sorry, I don't have any on me.
Thank you.
Yes. Unfortunately, I went a little bit long here. I was doing some stuff, so... Alright, we're up to 70%. I feel like that's going to have to be good enough. Mine already stop automatically anyway, but... this should be good enough to get us close to Gilroy, so... Another Phoenix connector. Woohoo! We don't have quite enough range left, but we'll see. Hopefully we're a bit more efficient and can go through San Francisco quickly. Now, this also does mean, though, because I'm stretching a little bit, I might not be able to maintain a super fast driving speed, but hopefully, you know, we can also get through the Bay Area in one piece, miss some of the traffic. Right now the min is 132. We'll see how it starts creeping compared to, you know, we have 135 miles to go. My navigation is telling me to exit the freeway because there's an accident that is going to add 16 minutes to my trip time. So I'm better off getting off of the freeway and taking a side street. Seems a little bit like cheating, but I guess if that's what my navigation is telling me to do, who am I to argue? Also, my minimum range still hasn't caught up with my actual range to destination, and that really is my sort of my bellwether traveling wise, is I watch that very closely, because if I get to a certain point and the two haven't matched up, well then I'm likely to adjust my driving. It's kind of hard to believe that this is in any way a shortcut, but I guess driving through downtown Petaluma is a way of avoiding accidents on the freeway. And I guess apparently this is still, we've got 2 minutes of bonus accident to get through. This is why you don't have accidents. It just ruins everyone else's day too. So you guys don't need to see this. We're coming into Sausalito. Yes, I have fond memories of this place. Yeah, our speeds are a little bit lower, but I mean that's the posted speed limit going into San Francisco. So it looks like the timing was pretty much perfect on this trip. I wouldn't have gotten this sort of evening sunset view coming into San Francisco over Golden Gate Bridge otherwise. So other than making this a really long day, so far I've got no complaints. I don't need to speed too much. I know we're gonna slow down as we come through to like this Tiburon or tunnel or whatever they call it, but some people are lollygagging even more than I am. Open up your golden gates. Yeah, so, and then of course temperature slow down, or temperature speeds slow down a bit, or you're supposed to. Oh wow, actually, so they're ending the right 2 lanes. I don't know if I remember that part of it. A lot of people don't drive into the city this direction, so yeah, one of the most iconic skylines in, well, America. Of course, we're gonna have to share a room here. That's fine. Well, now you want to get over. Okay. Yeah, I'm still yet to walk this bridge end to end. I'll probably do that when I don't take 4 hours extra to make this trip. And I'm actually going to want to be in this lane anyway. I have to make an immediate right to loop over. over to Ocean Beach, so it doesn't really matter. There's no fast way to do this. I think this is supposed to have added 30 minutes to the time. We'll see. I mean, as it is, the time is pretty quick, so. Yeah, we're only 0.2 miles. There's no reason to not take the scenic route. Always, always, always take the scenic route. When we get to Gilroy, that's when we'll go for speed. The streets of San Francisco. So here we are. That took a little while longer. Unfortunately, yeah, I was hoping it would be a little bit brighter when we came by Ocean Beach, but can't get everything. Cliff House, of course. Expensive place, but I hear it's nice. Nobody ever took me there. See, here's Ocean Beach. Yes. It's definitely worth the stop when you can. Not necessarily the cleanest beach. Okay, so there was San Francisco, Ocean Beach. Now we're cruising down toward Gilroy. I'm gonna have to maybe watch my speed. Right now the minimum range has been creeping down to the actual distance to get to Gilroy pretty much in lockstep. So according to this, I could arrive at Gilroy with only like 4 or 5 miles left. I mean, which is fine. The bigger issue with that is it takes longer to get up to 50% battery if you're using the 100 amp chargers, just because it's a just a slower current. All right, well, we're in Gilroy. Interesting thing to note is, had I not taken the side route, I likely would have been home by the time this charge session finishes. So, yeah, that's just to give you guys an idea. So unfortunately, 100 amp. So I need to decide whether I'm going to try to take 99 down, or if it's actually faster for me to just to stick to Highway 101. So yeah, we are at 6% battery. Let's see. I might just charge up enough to get to Salinas. I think I am just going to take the 101 down. Should be out of here by 10 p.m. We're up to 36%. Not bad for 33 minutes, I guess, of this. So now, right now, you're probably seeing, in my opinion, the biggest valid complaint about chargers along interstate, or not interstate, but Highway 101. And that is, sort of simply put, they're not really ideal for long distance travel because of how far off the freeway they are. So you'll see it here in Salinas. As much as I like this charger in terms of location, I really don't like how far it is away from the freeway. The roads are pretty clear getting back and forth to the freeway, but yeah, it's not ideal. And then let's see. And then, of course, the one in San Luis Obispo, likewise, is not quite where it should be. You have to do quite a bit of driving to get to it from the freeway, right? So. Now, for me, I'm just going to go ahead and, as long as, I'm just making an assumption that these chargers are going to be open. It's a big assumption to make. Yeah, I forgot about this too, and there's no direct turn. I have to make a U. I'm just making some assumptions that these chargers are going to be open, but for the most part these aren't highly trafficked just because of their location relative to high density populations of electric vehicle owners. They're along less traveled routes, essentially. So all right, here in Salinas, California, so 10:33 arrival, and luckily 125 amp chargers. We should actually be at a relatively high state of charge, and I'm going to do 45 minutes, and that should be more than enough, because I think we only have about 120 miles, 130 miles maybe, to get to the chargers in San Luis Obispo. Where are we at? 18%? I'm just making that up. I don't even remember looking at the energy screen. Oh, 21. Okay. Here we are. Salinas, California. Ooh, $4 a gallon. Eek. About to head out. It's been a little over 45 minutes. And we have 126 miles on the minimum range estimator, but I think that'll go up because I haven't shut the car off since, and we have 130 miles to go. We're up to 74%. So it went a little bit longer than 45 minutes, but I think that's because we're no longer in peak time. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop this now. So we're ready to go. Unplugged. Yeah, 126 miles estimated range, but like I said, I expect to see that hop up a little bit. But this is one of those interesting exits that we do, and I actually kind of find this this one cool, so we'll go ahead and follow it out of here. I kind of know this route already, and for whatever reason Google Maps has taken a while to catch on, but yeah, so we're in Salinas and we're heading out. It's a 55-mile-an-hour road out, and so even though you're not on the highway or on the freeway, you're still moving out of Salinas at a pretty good clip. If there are any lights, I can't remember, maybe one or two along this route. So even though it's a mile or two to get back to the freeway, it goes really, really quick. So here's the other thing is, yeah, we're driving along parallel to the freeway right now, and I mean we're doing decent speed, but still, yeah, almost a mile before we merge on, and we're up to 10 miles more on our minimum than the distance to the next charger. This is such a this route varies so much in terms of weather, though. I don't know if I even feel safe with that. So this is still something that we need to watch, but this is sort of that dead zone of chargers that people refer to, where it's about 130 miles and the only chargers in between are two 25 kilowatt or 20 kilowatt chargers. You know, and one of them is fairly reliable in the one in King City, which is probably the more necessary one, and then the one in Paso Robles is just completely unreliable, and you know, and it's also not really the most ideally placed. Okay, so we're about 10 miles out from King City right now, and that's where one of those, I guess, emergency backup 25 kilowatt chargers is, or 24 kilowatt, whatever, the charge point, slower chargers. Well, here's the thing, we're 90 miles out from San Luis Obispo right now, or from the charger in San Luis Obispo, and we have 96 miles minimum estimated range, but we have over 50% battery right now, and I don't want to keep harping on this, but yeah, it's really hard to not be able to go at least 100 miles with half of a battery. Like, when that, in order for that to happen, the circumstances or the conditions have to be very, very bad, because remember, half a battery is essentially 30 kilowatt hours. To go, you know, 100 miles with that, it's just basically a little over 3 miles per kilowatt hour. I've very rarely encountered situations where I couldn't do that, and I knew immediately when those situations were. So yeah, I don't know that I really even need to slow down at all. I'm just going to keep driving the way I'm driving, and I'll keep an eye out for it, but I really don't see how, with less than 90 miles to go and over half a battery, I wouldn't be able to make it to San Luis Obispo. This one, it is out of the way. Like I said, if you're really like focused on making the fastest trip time, Highway 101 just isn't the highway to be taking. we made it right on schedule. So, yes, charge vehicle soon. Oh, no. Sometimes those interfaces stick. So again, this is off peak, so this should be a 1 hour session if I want it. I might need it, and the truth is I'm probably just going to take a nap right now. So it's already pretty late, and one of the benefits of driving an EV is you get to nap. Yeah, so 7% battery. All right, so not quite 75%, but pretty close. In just about an hour. As you can see, quite a bit of energy was transferred. This means we should be able to drive full speed home. So yeah, we have a estimated 2-hour drive home. So this is another one of those interesting routes getting out of here. But the thing is, this and Salinas, the reason I don't mind the fact that they're as far off the freeway as they are is, even though you're driving a distance and you're not driving as fast as you would be at freeway speeds, the thing is you're still actually making progress toward your destination. So what I mean by that is, here we are driving along at 45 miles an hour, and it's soon to turn to a 55 mile an hour road, but we're connecting two dots along the freeway. So essentially what we're doing is we're just traveling the route, but at a shorter speed. So you're not really wasting as much time as you might think. I mean, if you were bypassing this, right, you'd be going a little bit faster because you'd be going on the freeway, but this is actually traveling a similar distance. It's just you're doing it through San Luis Obispo, not through the freeway. Okay, so this is getting back to that principle that I had mentioned before, about if I have over half a battery and only 100 miles to go, which is the case. I have about 100 miles to go right now, and 3 bars, but that could be as low as 11% over the 50% mark, so like 61%. I don't think it's quite that low yet, though. But for me to have that much over 50% battery, I really am not worried about making the 100 miles to get home. Maybe I need to be worried about getting the last few miles into work in the morning. Here we are back in Ventura. Made it with enough range. I could actually probably make it to work in the morning just with the range that I have left, but rather than stress over it, I'm just gonna do a quick DC charge and interesting. So someone decided to shut down using the emergency. That was weird. Anyway, so I'm just going to do a really, really quick DC charge, so I don't have to worry about it. Yeah, so I don't have to worry about it in the morning. So I'm at 11%. So literally in the amount of time that it's going to take me just to do a recap of this trip. I'll have enough range for work tomorrow. It's really, really late. This is, like I said, this is 6 hours. It turns out that this would be 6 hours longer than had I taken my normal route. And so the question would probably be, would I do it again? Well, not right now. I'm pretty tired. But I mean, I would, except the thing is, I would have needed to account for a lot more time. Or going into it, I thought that the road over through the national forest was paved the entire way. So it was pretty much, a third of the way up and maybe a third of the way back down again. But for the most part, it was actually dirt and gravel. So driving 15 to 20 miles an hour for 60 miles, it's going to impact the amount of time it takes to finish the trip. So I would definitely do that journey again, but I would need more time, right? I would need to plan it as a day trip, as a road trip, not with the intent of trying to drive another, 450 miles after. So, and that's the other thing too, is this was 6 hours longer than it would have normally taken me. And so, yeah, it was actually a 16-hour trip. But it was also about 140 miles longer than I would normally drive. I'm going to take the short route into work tomorrow, the efficient route, and I really only need about 15 to 20% battery to do that. All right, so that's literally all I needed. So we're good to go. And I reset the station while I'm at it. What a good Samaritan.